Hey True Believers, Englentine here with another episode of Comic Book Origins. This time around we're talking about the Stark, an alien race who in their earliest of days discovered a whole bunch of Iron Man armor, and they decided to learn it and use it as the societal basis, ending up destroying their planet. So they travel from planet to planet, subjugating the races and adding their technology to the Starks. That way they could always stay one step ahead. Created in 1990, the Stark made their real first appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy #1 on their final page, but it's issue #2 that their main first appearance happens. It also coincides with, of course, Taserface appearing in issue #1, and then that kind of carries over to issue #2. But with all that aside, let's dive into Guardians of the Galaxy #2. And as the book opens, we see the Guardians just staring out going, wait a second, there's some sort of mistake. And the Stark, who we do not see until the next page, says, yep, and it was made by you, and we get this recap. The scene is a remote, technologically unsophisticated planet in the Bledsoe system called Korg. The Guardians had come seeking clues to the whereabouts of the long-lost shield of the legendary Captain America. What they found instead was the cyborg emissary of a race of interplanetary conquerors. They call themselves the Stark, and they have claimed this world as their own, and they intend to protect that claim. And that's all the recap you're going to get from our fabulous first issue, friends, because right now it's time to rock and roll! I'm not kidding. That's what it says right down at the bottom of the page. And on the next page, we get a brief introduction to the team, and I like this, even though it's the second issue. They introduce Charlie 27 as the genetically engineered to have 11 times the cellular density of a normal human. He has the strength, stamina, and resiliency to prove it. And then, of course, Starhawk, a mysterious mutant from the warrior world Arcturus. A blur of motion, he loses his concussive blasts appear light in his wake, and the self-proclaimed one who knows makes no boasts, issues no battle cry, and he perceives no need for them. And then we get Martin X, who at this point is the leader of the team, except he doesn't know how to watch his back and needs Starhawk to save him. And we see the natives rush into their huts for protection. The leader of the Stark calls out to one of her minions to go and get Taserface, who had been knocked out in the previous issue. While they're doing that, Vance Astro is distracted, and one of the Stark comes up and slashes open his suit, and for the first time in a millennia, his skin is exposed to open air. So we see Charlie 27 call out to Martin X that Vance's suit has been cut and he needs his help. Unfortunately, Martin X is, as he says, a little indisposed at the moment as he's being attacked, but he gets a little help. I'll take care of these creeps, Marty. Go help Vance. She is Nikki, flame-tressed acrobatic sure shot and last living member of Earth's Mercury colony, and she has just now bought her silicon skin teammate a brief respite. Starhawk flies above Martin X as he helps out Vance Astro, and Martin X yells, "Go get Yondu, we're getting out of here." Yondu is a mystic weapons master from Earth's only extrastellar colony, Centauri 4. He controls the Yaka arrow, a shaft which turns in mid-flight in response to his high-pitched whistle. He does not notice the Stark warrior coming up behind him until it's too late, and it is a blow that would have killed a human being. As it is, it sends the azure-skinned Guardian hurtling some 50 feet through the air and right through the roof of one of the natives' Kurga's dome-shaped domiciles. We see Yondu laying on the floor of one of the Kurga's huts. Kurga comes up to him, steals his dagger, and hopes to avenge his dead brother. And then we cut to Firelord, who since Silver Surfer's disappeared has become the protector of the universe. He has abandoned the impetuousness of his youth and becoming a voice for reason and a scourge of evil throughout the known universe. He seeks now to confine a new form of evil, now aborting an evil called the Stark. And this is kind of weird to me. I'm serious. We find out that it's Uatu, the Watcher, who is narrating this whole story. And he even says, "But who are the Stark, you ask? I am Uatu, born of a race of Watchers whose sole purpose is to observe but not participate in the evolution of the universe's myriad life forms. In order to understand just who the Stark are, we must first understand whence they came And to do that, we must peel back the veil of time to the dawning years of your 21st century, where in this future timeline, your world is unexpectedly and savagely attacked by your nearest planetary neighbors, Mars. Though Earth's many super beings fought valiantly, it was the end of their era, and they fought in vain. One such hero was the Avenger Iron Man. Without the ability to safeguard on Earth his most precious inventions, his suits of armor and the circuitry they contained, and not wishing them to fall into the hands of the Martians should he fail, as he eventually did, he used the technological resources at his disposal to launch them into space. The capsule's trajectory used the gravity of Earth's star Sol to slingshot it into deep space, where it would drift forever, never to be seen again by man or any other sentient, or so he assumed. But in his haste, Tony Stark erred in his calculations. And over the course of time, it found its way not only to another star, but to a small inhabited world. The world had no name, for the race that it had birthed was only then on the brink of civilization. But the natives were intelligent creatures, and over the course of years, they overcame their fear of the metallic object from the stars, and emptied it of its enigmatic contents. After several hundred years of examining and studying the strange suits of armor and the computers which propelled the capsule through space, they began to understand, and in their understanding they built for themselves a technologically advanced society. They came to worship their techno-god, even to the point of naming their world and their whole race after him. And in the image of their god, they began to fashion suits of armor for themselves. Massive factories soon covered the landscape like cancerous tumors. Within 3 generations, they had polluted their environment to such a degree that the very air was now toxic to them. They built temperature-controlled domes around their cities to protect themselves from the ultraviolet rays which now permeated their planet. Rays that parched their once fertile soil, making it unable to sustain life. They traveled from one city to another in pneumatic tubes as their world grew increasingly more deadly to them, spewing their fetid poisons into the once fragrant air, and still their factories, now fully automated, smelted the precious ore of their planet until every man, woman, and child among them wore the armored garbs of their god. I was privileged to know Anthony Stark during his life, and I am certain of this, my friends, he would have wept at the damage unwittingly wrought on this world. Had he suspected, he might very well have destroyed his inventions with a repulsor blast, but he did not. The Stark, as they had since dubbed themselves, continued to plunder the planet of their birth. Whether they were unaware of what they were doing or somehow considered it their sacred duty to continue along that course, I cannot say. But they strip mined their world of its indigenous ore until the planet, now in its death throes, abused beyond the point of redemption, had nothing left to give. It was then that they used their now advanced technology to create a caste of cyborg outfits. These warriors would act as advanced wave for their space fleet, laying claim to other worlds. Worlds the Stark would then invade to rob their minerals and enslave their populations. Worlds like Korg. And we cut back to Charlie 27 doing all sorts of butt kicking when he realizes that Nikki seems to be doing more butt kicking than anyone else, but also that the Stark are really taking orders from female, and he realizes, aha! And he yells for Starhawk to turn into Alita. And so Starhawk does, flying into the air, and Alita shows up and says, whoa, I can't really fly here. Why is he doing that? And she realizes, wait a second, yeah, in fact, the Stark, all but one of the Stark, refused to attack her. So Alita decides to attack her, but her powers are different. She turns light into a solid and ends up knocking the female Stark into the ground a little bit harder than she originally had planned. And we see that Alita, she feels bad about killing the Stark soldier. But she doesn't notice that all the Stark have just frozen in place. Charlie 27, on the other hand, he no longer has any doubts about his enemy's weakness, and he knows that the key to their defeat, it is in yonder tent. And said tent becomes his one objective, his sole focal point, and he will destroy anything that gets in his way of it. And in the tent we see, you will be shamed for generations yet unborn. The great Taserface rescued like a child. You dishonor your whole gender. Your Excellency, not now, communicator. Forgive the intrusion of this worthless one, your grace. I bring news of the battle. It's their flyer, you must know. Lieutenant Darkeyes has been killed. What? The leader of the Stark says, and smacks the communicator. How dare you come to me with this news of her disgrace? Her whole family will suffer this ignominy. May Stark have mercy on her soul. And she turns her attention to Taserface. It should have been you that died in her stead, now nameless one. And Taserface looks at her. Yes, now I am doubly dishonored. Then the leader of the Stark tells the others to bring the head of the Golden One, because he and the guy's like, whoa, hold on. It's no longer a male who flies in the skies, but a woman. And the leader of the Stark says, a woman? Yes, they somehow switched places, and this kind of bewilders her, and she's like, a woman killed another woman? Unbelievable. So be it. Then it is she who will join my sister Stark in AIDS. Taserface rushes into battle, and we see the Guardians winning some, losing some, and we see the, the Korg hold a knife to Yondu's throat as Taserface basically sees Nikki and thinks, okay, I gotta have that chick. And so Taserface sneaks up to Nikki. He moves with surprising stealth. She does not hear him over the sound of her own wrist lasers, and those of her fellows who might have noticed him fail to see. Each is too involved in his own private war until it's too late. Surrender immediately, aliens! Taserface yells as he grabs onto Nikki and holds his gun arm to her head. She yells, let go of me, you son of a... or your leader's life is forfeit. The Guardians pause at the gravel voice command. Each experiences a moment, forever frozen in time. With their teammate's name on their lips, their hearts clumped in their voiceless throats. But before any of them can act, Alita is surrounded. Await the general's command, one of the soldiers yell. Oh no, Alita says, and she thinks, I've got to make the change. Whatever tactical advantage I may have had is obviously gone now. Give me just a few seconds to concentrate. Fire! One of the soldiers yells. No, just a nanosecond more. I can't stop the change. Her scream, like a knife, cuts through the sky as a dozen lasers from as many directions converge on her as one. And there, for just a second, it appears as though a new star is ignited in the sky over the planet Korg. And those brave enough or foolish enough to gaze into the heart of that new sun would swear they saw two figures being consumed in its fury. And they wouldn't be far wrong. To be continued. Ha ha. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is Guardians of the Galaxy #2, first full appearance of the Stark. I gotta tell you, I liked it. I think this is a good book. I used to buy this book back in the day. I am a bigger fan of the original Guardians of the Galaxy than I am of the newer one. And I loved this book. And I gotta tell you, it holds up. I was very pleasantly surprised that this book is still good after 30 years. Damn. The Starks seem an alright alien villain, I guess. Overall, I thought it was a fun book, and I did wonder why Uatu is narrating this, because, I mean, if he narrated just the middle part, doesn't it go to show that he narrated the rest? I don't know. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to click like and share and subscribe, the whole 9 yards, of course. And make sure that settings are on all for notifications. If you like the content, please consider helping the channel out. You can help it out most by sharing. But if you want to throw $1 or $2 at us, just go on over to Patreon or Ko-Fi. Links in the description below. Drop $1 in the till. Helps keep the lights on. Helps keep making videos, as this is the way we're trying to make a living. Like to thank everybody who's already done that. And to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.